Hey guys, welcome to another video from myself, Rob, McDonough Coaching, for everything training, physio, nutrition, and habit forming. Today I'm going to give you um, some practical advice on how to form new habits or change current habits. So this is from the book called The Power of Habits, which I've just finished reading by Charles Duhigg. So the main part of the book is just he talks about he tells different stories of people and the type of habits they form. So talks about one lady's habit of gambling and how much debt she got into, and then talks about another guy who sleepwalks and it's been going on for years. Normally just does day to day activities and nothing strange, and then goes camping with his wife, thinks there's an intruder, and accidentally kills his wife. Anyway, but at the end, he gives a practical advice, which I'm going to go through with you now. So, if you look at this habit loop, so you've got your cue, routine, and reward. So your cue, for example, might be something like the certain time of day. The routine might be eating a cookie, and your reward might be just you're eating a cookie because of boredom, or you're eating the cookie because you're hungry, or you want sugar, or whatever it might be. So you want to say, for example, stop eating cookies is the example he gives. At about 3 o'clock every day, this guy writing the book, he noticed that he was gaining some weight because every day at about 3 o'clock he'd end up going to the cafeteria, grabbing a cookie, chatting to some colleagues, and then going back to work. And he wanted to change that habit. So the first step he did is he identified the routine. So the routine was the cookie. So I'll give you my example at the end. So you want to. Second part is you want to experiment with rewards. So what he did instead, because he wasn't sure why he was going to eat the cookie. Was he hungry? Was he bored? Or what was going on? So the first day he went and chatted to his colleagues instead of going to the cafeteria for a cookie, and then he wrote down three words of how he felt. So it might have been like satisfied, or whatever three words come to mind. So it might have been satisfied, content, or it might have been like hungry, bored. And then the next day he went to the cafeteria and ate an apple, and then again wrote down how he felt. And he kept doing that to see if he was to see whether he was satisfied, essentially. So he figured out it wasn't the cookie that he really wanted. It was more that he was basically bored. It was boredom eating. So he wanted to see what the cue was, and he kind of divides it down. So what basically causes the routine. So the cue from this. So I said cue into a couple of different possibilities. So it could be a time of day, it could be a location, it could be an emotional state like stress, and it could be someone else around you. So like people will say maybe you go to the pub and then there's one person that maybe smokes cigarettes and then you end up smoking cigarettes, and it's that person that you kind of is that kind of cue to smoke a cigarette or something like that. Or it's a preceding action. So you mean again, so I think preceding action where once people have a drink, say, then sometimes they smoke. It's the having the drink that causes them to smoke, not any other. So that'd be your preceding action. And then 4 is have a plan to replace the bad habit. So he worked it out at 3 o'clock. So his plan then was at 3 o'clock every day, instead of going and having a cookie, he would go talk to his colleague for 10 minutes and then go back to work. And he tried different things like that. So he tried having a different snack, talking to colleagues, going to the cafeteria and having getting a water instead of any food, and seeing how that felt. Because it might have been the case where he just wanted to leave the office and get out of that room. That might have been the reward he was looking for, not necessarily hunger or to talk to anyone. So it's all different reasons. And then he figured out it was a kind of a time of day, not necessarily a location or how he felt or another person or preceding action. So, because when you're isolating the cue, you'll at that moment you get the craving for the cookie. You could write down the time of day. So you'll write down the time, the location, how you're feeling, if there's anybody else around, and what you were doing just prior to that craving. So say if it was a cigarette, so your time might be various times. Your location might be the pub. I mean, this is going to be an obvious one. State might be stress. Your friend John is around. So you all know John's a bastard. And then preceding action was a pint. And then every other time, you'll obviously know that it might be, it might not. So you might notice that you've done this 4 or 5 times, and every time the time's been different, the location's been different, the person's been different, and the preceding action's been different, but you've always had stress. Yeah, so it might be the stress. So every time you get stressed, then you know, oh, okay, I get stressed, so what you're going to have in your plan, every time I get stressed, instead of having a cigarette, I'm going to do 10 burpees. And then that 10 burpees might give you the same reward as the cigarette was doing, where you're feeling relieved. Because exercise releases endorphins, and that's why this might work. So, what I'm going to do, in the evenings I tend to snack a lot, but it's all healthy snacks, but I want to kind of reduce it a bit more, and I want to do more mobility work. So that's my plan after analysing using this kind of format, and I'm going to see how it works. So if you're interested, the power of habits, I'll put some of this stuff down in the description for you to read, and then have a go yourself. All right, thanks guys, bye.